You can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. Everybody that he knows is who he knows, but they're bad. But look at what he ends up doing. That's the best assessment I've heard out of 60 interviews. So thank you.
Yeah.
You literally have spoken the words that I've been speaking. Nice. It takes you on a journey.
Perfect.
Money comes and goes. It doesn't fucking matter. Just do what makes you happy and be the best at it.
Hallo liebe Metal-Meute und herzlich willkommen zum OVTCAST Podcast. Und ich werde direkt ins Englische wechseln, denn wir haben heute wieder einen Special Gast. Hello Jarvis from Night Demon and heavy welcome. How's it going?
Good, thank you for having me.
So today I would like to talk about your upcoming album Outsider, which will be released on the 17th of March. So your third full-length album, because you already released some EPs and gathered them together to a kind of album, compilation album, so-called. So
right.
It's a month until the release. How is it feeling?
Pretty good. So far, the feedback from the journalists have been okay. I don't know if they're just saying that because they're talking to me to my face, but I hope your assessment will be accurate. I can take any criticism that you have. But no, it feels good. I mean, we're happy with what we made. So there you go,
Yeah, I need to say, congratulations to a great record. Sorry. Because
no.
I really liked it. I really liked it as well. And, for me, it contains, all the Night Demon trademarks, and it takes them to a, would say, new and maybe more progressive level. A bit more Flight of the Manticore and Darkness Remains, a little less straight numbers like Screams in the Night or Hallowed Ground. And I think, hashtag spoiler, it also comes back to Darkness Remains at the end of the record, doesn't it?
Sure, a bit, yeah. Yeah.
So, for me, in general, it's more atmospheric, and maybe also because you did a concept album about a young gravedigger called Johnny who wants to leave his town and see the world, but ends up in a parallel universe or a parallel shadow world, you say, and wants to find his way back. So, what inspired you for a concept album?
Well, our first full-length album, Curse of the Damned, and our second full-length album, Darkness Remains, both had the idea of being concept records. We fell short on both of them. There are songs that do follow a concept on there, but we couldn't seem to figure out a way to make all of the songs like a cohesive story. So on this attempt, since we had the pandemic here and we were just, we had time finally, I said, let's go for a full concept album. So I wrote a script intended for a film. I wrote a movie script, and the story was good enough that we decided to meld the songs in a way to fit this story, and that's why you have so many dramatic twists and turns in the music, and that's really a cool way to do it, because most songs happen musically first. Mm-hmm. But when you have to match the music to what's happening, then you can go into whole other realms.
Yeah, and I think the whole album is like a roller coaster ride. It goes up and down, and you never know what happens next. So
that's the best way.
And especially also within the songs, not just song by song, it's up and down, but also within the songs, and that's pretty interesting. Also with the two longest songs, Beyond the Grave and the closing track, The Wrath, with more than 6 and 7 minutes. And that's, each song is kind of a journey in their own.
Well, thank you. Best way to describe it. You really did. I appreciate that. That's the same way I would have described it. We've always been known as a band to have shorter songs. For a metal band, I think our songs are pretty short. Those two songs you mentioned are the longest songs that we've ever had in length, but it does take you on a journey. They go places. It's not they're not long for the sake of repetition. They take the listener into a lot of different areas. And that was the idea. They were that long because they needed to be that long. Normally we don't, we say what we need to say in a short amount of time in a song, you know, but that was the intention here. So that's the best assessment I've heard out of 60 interviews. So thank you. That you literally have spoken the words that I've been speaking, you know, It takes you on a journey.
Yeah. Perfect. And in general, you don't, as you said, don't really have short songs, but when it comes to metal, maybe a little shorter than other metal songs. But that's also especially the not opener track, because you have an intro, but the first single, Outsider, starts right from the beginning with a hook, and you're directly into it, and you have all the Night Demon trademarks, and and then it differs along the whole record. And also in the opening track, as I said, you have a pretty strong start, but then you have these kind of doomy break in the middle after maybe 2 or something minutes, and you go down like Black Sabbath style. And that's there's
a lot of Sabbath doom on this whole album, you know? Yeah. Yeah,
that's great. And but I was also thinking about as you started directly from the beginning with Outsider, does something like music streaming or shorter amount of attention spans and all that stuff has an impact on your songwriting?
No, I mean, we've always written short songs, but you know, the fact that we did a concept album in under 35 minutes, I think lends itself to short attention spans. You know, when people hear that we did a concept album, they're probably thinking, oh, fuck, here we go. Double vinyl, 80 minutes, Nostradamus, how much, what's the story, you know? How much time do I need to invest in this? No, I find that we made it short. We said everything we needed to say. We take you on every musical journey we can throughout the course of this short 35 minutes. And I find that people are listening to it 4, 5, 6 times because it's that short and going, okay. And every time they listen to it, they pick up something new on it, you know? And that's really important for us, you know, because we have short attention spans, you know, we're not here to bore people. We never want to be a band that runs through the motions. If we get bored playing something, it's time to stop, you know? So.
Yeah, that's also something special about when it comes to your live shows. It's never boring. It's full of action, full of energy. And even if it's just the 3 of you and you are playing and singing, it's so much action on stage. That's incredible. Always great to see you live.
Thank you. Even with this album being a concept and following a story, we always write songs with the intention of playing them live. So we're always conscious of how this is going to go over in a live environment. We record the albums live. So this album took about 6 days in the studio only, but we were very prepared before demoing the songs and playing them live together. It's really one piece of music that's meant to be played from start to finish. There's no breaks. There's no stops. But it's into 8 chapters, you know? But yeah, the live thing is big for us. We're a live band, you know? So we have to continue that on with this stuff, even though we're going into other territories of different moods and a lot more dynamics. We really hear how those are going to be live, and it's going to add a lot more diversity to a Night Demon show.
Yeah, of course, especially with the breaks in it, and that you can calm down during a Night Demon show. You're going on tour in later this year in Europe, don't you?
Yeah, the end of July, last 2 weeks of July, and the whole month of September will be in Europe. So we're looking forward to coming out and playing this whole album, you know. And we could play the full thing from front to back and still have time for 10, 12, 19 classics, you know. So that's the beauty of writing short songs, you know. Some of my favorite bands, I go and see them in an arena and they play for 2 hours and I hear 12 songs, you know. So shorter songs are good. Yeah.
Great. So it will be a headliner show, not a co-headlining like with Midnight?
No, it'll be headliner shows this time around.
Perfect. Coming back to the story of the album, how much Johnny is in you, or how much of the story is based on true events, true locations? It's
all based on true locations, but very little is based on me. When you write stories like this, obviously it's natural that something inside of you comes out. But it's not autobiographical or anything like this. You know, it's a completely fictitious story, a what if story, you know?
For me, it was something about maybe fighting your inner demons or fighting your dark side. But as Johnny all fights in the shadow world his own self and kills his own self, and buries kind of his own body, but at the end he's cursed by killing his darker side and not confronting himself with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely correct. And there are a lot of metaphors you can tie into it, but the main underlying theme is, I think, when he goes into this other world, there's everybody that he knows is who he knows, but they're bad, I guess, right? But look at what he ends up doing, right?
Yeah, so at the end, he's kind of the villain.
I mean, he's not for us because we start the story with him. We're on his side. He's going through all this stuff. And so we're identifying with him as the good person. And then you meet his other self, who's a bad version of himself. But who dies, right? The bad version. So that person mattered to everybody else in that story, right? So sometimes it's like life. You got to look at it in that way. Like, the bad guy never believes he's the bad guy. I mean, we have a war going on right now between Russia and the Ukraine. I mean, Vladimir Putin, I don't know anything about him. I know what people tell me about him, but I highly doubt he's sitting right now and thinking, I'm the bad guy. I'm the worst person in the world. All I want is chaos in the world, right?
Yeah, for himself, he maybe has some good intentions, but
what I'm saying is, I don't know, and I'm not excusing him because I don't believe in war or collateral damage or human casualty. No, but I mean, this guy has a family, right? I mean, he's got people that care about him, and there's people that he cares about that he's probably good to. So let's think about life in that perspective, taking care of the bad guy. You are still the bad guy to somebody else, and so that's what the underlying moral of this story is what is good, what is bad. Can we just, as a society, accept differences?
Yeah. There is no good without the bad.
I know, but I mean, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Sorry, that was kind of wrong. Yeah, you mean that it's also always a perspective if it's good or if it's bad. Yeah.
Right. And again, I'm not excusing. I mean, maybe he's a bad example, but I do feel that he is an example because I guarantee you there's people that care about him and there's people that he cares about that he's probably really good to. So if taking him out of the equation is best for the world, there's people immediately around him that don't see it that way, Yeah.
Or he forces them to don't see it that way. You never know.
Sure.
Yeah, I was also thinking about when I read the story, there was kind of The Village meets John Carpenter or several John Carpenter movies. Was he an inspiration as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the first track, in the prelude, it's very Carpenter-esque.
The sound.
Village. You're talking about the M. Night Shyamalan movie, right?
Yeah, there are several movies. It's kind of... wrote them down, but don't find it now.
Yeah. I like to hear this because that's cool. These are all things that I love, and I kind of wonder sometimes how some of this gets into my subconscious. It's
also something.
But yeah,
it also some kind of reminded me to the movie. I need to check the English titles. For example, They Live, where they are in a addicted to television and all that stuff, and become kind of a shadow people, or Prince of Darkness with a chapel, as he's going through a chapel at the end, Johnny. And yeah, also Village of the Damned, The Fog, The Thing. There's kind of everything in it.
Oh, those are great Carpenter movies too. Yeah, but no, I love that. That's really good. I'd love to hear that. You know your movies. That's good. Yeah, I think I take inspiration from all that stuff, but it's a very dramatic story. It's less of a horror story, and it was written as a film script before it was an album. So that's why the album has a very cinematic approach to it,
Will there be a movie or something different, or a comic, or?
I hope so. A movie is a big undertaking, costs a lot of money, and there's a lot of moving parts, I hope one day it will be, It's a goal of mine. I think it would be great to see that on the screen,
Yeah, I think so too. Because I was also wondering, because you just released music videos, like performance videos, and I think that really grabs the story of the album. Why did you do that?
Well, because in the order of the singles that were supposed to come out, that the record company thought they should come out in, like, we can't do a storyline in them if you're like jumping around, they need to be in order, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, I don't want to waste it on the music videos, especially because it's so hard. I mean, how many music videos have we all seen that have a story and you don't even understand what's really the story? Like,
it's too short.
It's so hard to tell with no dialogue, I mean, you have to really, and then you have to listen to the lyrics and go, oh, does that make sense? Right. So this is better as a film, I think, than telling it. So the music videos we're doing for this album are just performance videos, because there's no way we could try and come in and go, here's chapter 2, here's chapter 4, or here's chapter 2, here's chapter 6, here's chapter 4. It doesn't make any sense,
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I think will be a great movie someday.
Thank you. I hope it happens. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite track on the record? What you're most excited about to play live?
I don't really have one, to be honest. I want to play the whole thing live. I think I'm excited about the next single that's coming out, Escape from Beyond. I think that's a really great track. It's got a really catchy chorus. It's simple. It's short. I'm really excited for people to hear that song. People that haven't heard the whole album. That's my favorite right now. Ask me in 2 Change.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's, Escape from Beyond is also that's a song where Johnny is running away to the portal, trying to escape from the shadow world. And I also think what's special about the whole record that you hear that he's running. If you read the story, that you can imagine how he's running, and also that it's kind of that we really relief. But you have darker songs and you have lighter songs, and this is kind of a lighter song because he sees kind of the end of the tunnel of the portal or something,
right?
And goes to the other world.
Yeah, it's like there's finally hope for him now.
Hope, that's a word.
It's a bit suspenseful because he's got to make it there, but and he still doesn't know if this is going to work. But at least, prior to this in the story, there's no hope, and so it's a turning point in the story.
Yeah, before it's when he fights his shadow self, especially in Beyond the Grave. It also got me kind of goosebumps because it's really dark when he's behind the grave and kind of regretting his killing and all that stuff.
Yeah. Imagine if that actually happened to you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we all think about, like, when we die, if our soul leaves our body, do we look down on our body, right? But, like, imagine if you killed yourself in that way, like, out of your own survival. I don't know. It's a pretty far out story, but at least I appreciate you taking the time to at least entertain the idea of it. And like, it kind of takes you there. I mean, we're talking about it now, and you kind of, at least you can't relate to it from experience, but you can definitely put yourself in the position and imagine, right? Like, I mean, insane.
Yeah, it's also kind of a topic in mangas. I don't know if you're into mangas, but for example, there's always the good guy going to a cave or something, and he's confronted with his darker side and needs to overcome his darker side and kind of to get stronger to fight the bigger enemy and all that stuff.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I'm not a fan of that stuff, but I just don't know about it. But that's cool. I like how there's a relation to that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I mean, it's also in general. You need to confront with your dark sides and see what's bad for you, and know what's good for you, and we all have be your better self.
That's right. Yeah, we all have that in us.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
As we are all humans, we also have good and bad sides. So. Yeah.
We are flawed.
We are what?
Flawed beings. We have flaws. We have flaws. Downside.
Yeah.
Not perfect. We're not perfect.
Nobody's perfect. Yeah. And also, when it comes to Awake, after Escape from Beyond, it also shifts, and Awake is kind of a really heartwarming ballad about loss of something when he comes back, and first he had hope, but then he sees his father died when he was away because he left for some time, and it's also kind of a sad song, and maybe your first real sad ballad, isn't it?
Yeah, and I felt that the story needed that. It needed something that took it away a bit from the fantasy realm, like our hero, quote unquote, right, has escaped from beyond, and he got away, right? He saved himself after all the shit that happened, and he's safe now. Meanwhile, these people in this other realm, the bad people, are at a complete loss, but he arrives home and has his own loss, and catastrophic events has happened. And as a result of his decision, his father has taken his own life because he blamed himself, has no idea what's been going on in the other world. So there's damage here that's irreversible, and I think that's important. That's more of a real life story. And that's something that people can relate to a lot more than, the fantasy world of the guy always gets the girl, the guy always wins, the hero always wins. Life isn't fair. Life doesn't work like that, and so I wanted to write a story that touched on those kinds of subjects, that there are consequences for your actions. There's a great quote from Ayn Rand. It says, "You can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality." And that's very prevalent in that song.
Great, yeah. And it was also kind of at first he wanted to leave his village, see the whole world, and you can also say that if you think big and leave your roots, then it also has bad influences.
Well, I'm a bit conflicted with that. I think that the world needs to be discovered, and people need to be very. I think fortune favors the brave. You need to be brave, and you need to go and do and experience the world. But what the more of the moral of the story is that the grass is always greener on the other side until you're on the other side. So it's more of like, the sentiment is more of like, really appreciate the things you have, and before you discredit them as not good enough. So sometimes I think a healthy exercise is to close your eyes and think about how bad things can be just for a moment. What if this was all gone? What if your home was gone? What if had no food? What if you did lose a loved one, which will happen? But put yourself in the situation now, so then you know to appreciate it more now while you have it, you know?
Yeah,
so that's the point I was trying to get to with that.
That's also kind of a problem in the nowadays society, or maybe in every society, that especially through social media, you see all the things you don't have and want to have all the things you don't have, but don't appreciate the things you do have, or the loved ones you have around and all that stuff.
Shiny object syndrome, I call it.
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic, but yeah, there's a big problem I see with the social media and online culture in general, you know, and I try to stay away from it as much as I can. It's just there's proven facts about mental health and social media, you know, so yeah.
No, don't spend too much time on it.
Yeah, sure. I think it's a great tool for getting the word out and stuff, for sure. But, you know, look, I think I would like to see people living more of their own life than somebody else's, you know?
You kind of need to limit your time on social media, that you don't waste the time. You need to use the time instead of wasting it. Yeah.
It's so easy to waste a lot of time. They design it that way, you know?
They want you to waste time, and
the time you spend on there, the more money they make. You know?
That's it. It's an attention economy.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just have 3 minutes left. Do you have a call afterwards, or?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's okay. Take your time. Whatever you got to do.
There's also a bonus track just on the CD version. Why just on the CD version, The Last Day?
That's for the record company to sell a dying format.
Okay. What do you think about CDs?
I personally like them. I mean, I kind of grew up with them, you know. I still enjoy them. I like LPs too, you know. I like cassettes. I like all formats. I like the convenience of digital. I really like them all, and that's why we make them on all formats. We have cassette, vinyl, digital, CD. I mean, whatever. If there's another format that comes about, we'll do that too. We do them all. You know, I think it's, I like to have our music available to whatever technology the listener chooses, you know. But I think CDs are great, man. Like, I have a nostalgia for them, you know.
Oh, nice.
They're fun.
Because
I love them.
Most of the people I know, I also grew up with CDs and all that stuff, but most of people don't really listen to them anymore. They stream or they buy vinyls. So vinyls is also a big thing.
It will come back around again.
Do you think so?
Everything goes in cycles, man. Of course. Like, when people that grew up with CDs become older and make more money, and they go, oh, you know, just vinyl was gone for almost 20. You know, it was gone. You know, so nobody was making vinyl. Nobody. Yeah. And look at it. No?
I mean, I'm not wondering about vinyl. I'm wondering about tapes. The tapes are coming back because the quality isn't the best, and it's the smallest format, so you don't really can look at it the whole day.
Hey, but what's cool about a tape? It's a mechanical machine. Every cassette sounds different. It's unique to itself. There's moving parts in it. It's fucking amazing. You know, like. All formats are good for that reason. So don't discredit CDs. Okay. They'll come back.
I will see.
Right now they're on the decline. So we put a bonus track on it. So the fans need to have the CD. They want the bonus track, they get the CD. You know,
or buy your bundle with CD, LP, back patch, and all that stuff.
Yep.
So. Is there a question you've never been asked, especially when you did a lot of interviews these days, but you always wanted to answer, or a topic you like to talk about, like to talk to the fans about?
Wow. Yeah. So, you know, there's been a lot of talk recently from like bigger artists about rock being dead, or like discouraging young people or amateurs, not even young people, just amateurs, to not start bands and to not, you know, to not go for that, you know? And, yeah. Oh, it's out there. Trust me. Yeah. There's big guys with big bands talking about that. And I just want to say that I completely disagree with that. And I think that there's room in this world for all of us. And if you love doing something, you got to do it no matter what it is. And if you do it enough and you get to be really good at it, it doesn't matter how much competition there is. People will discover it and you'll be known for that, you know? And it's really important for people. I just think, especially coming out of this pandemic, to really just follow their passions, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Money comes and goes. It doesn't fucking matter. Just do what makes you happy and like be the best at it, you know, and discipline yourself to excel at that thing. If you get enjoyment out of it, it won't be as bad as you think, you know?
Yeah. As long as you have fun, also the fans will have fun about it. And
the more you do it, the more fun you're going to have and the better you are at it. And you know what? The better you are at it, you'll find that people want to pay you to do it. You know?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, I think, of course, there's a lot of competition, especially also because of the streaming era where you have everything at every point and every time. But yeah, in another way, competition is good. If there's no competition and if you don't need to do anything, you just lay back and
push yourself, you know?
Yeah. You need to push yourself to overcome other bands or to have goals that other bands achieved and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So what are your goals for the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Well, our goal is to really take this album on tour and play it in its entirety and just spread the word and have a cool live show surrounding this. And then hopefully after that, I can turn this into a film or something. You know, I mean, that's my ultimate goal, you know. If not this, some other story. I hope it's this one, but I really want to make a film.
Great.
Yeah.
So everybody out there, listen to the record, buy the record, and in maybe 5 years we have a movie about it. That would be great. Yeah. Jarvis, thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for the great questions, and it was a very good exchange. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. So enjoy the rest of the day and hopefully not that much interviews.
Cheers.
Ciao. Oh, you're still there? Then you're definitely in the mood to give us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you're listening to us right now. Also, check out our Insta, TikTok, and Facebook pages. And if you're really crazy, you can support us at Steady or buy one of our shirts. No matter what you do, we say thank you for your support and stay heavy.